So welcome to the Trusted Soul Experience. I'm Matt Reid. Today we're addressing a crisis that is killing men in silence. For me, it's 4 simple words: debt, divorce, disease, depression. The 4D's that are destroying an entire generation of men who were taught that asking for help is weakness, that vulnerability is failure, and that real men handle everything alone. So I'm here with Ryan and Matt, the co-founders of the Bali Brotherhood, a movement that started with 4 men having coffee and now supports nearly 1,000 men who refuse to suffer in silence. They're proving that the antidote to the 4Ds isn't more hustle, more isolation, or more performance. It's brotherhood. So gentlemen, let's start with the uncomfortable truth. Why are so many men, successful men, still drowning?
I can go. So, to speak from lived experience, if you'd asked a Ryan who didn't understand what it meant to be vulnerable, I would tell you to fuck off, because I didn't understand why. And the image of what it meant to be a man was that this noble strength to be strong and handle things alone. And I didn't understand how much courage it takes to actually be vulnerable and share what's actually going on. I know how difficult it was for me to step into my first men's group, and the fear, the shame, the worry, the judgment, the echo chamber of all of these voices and projections in my own mind of what it meant about me as a man stepping into that space. But then as soon as I had the reflection of another man who received that or even shared before me, it immediately felt, I dropped my mask and felt connected to that man and connected to myself. I think brotherhood, and we'll go into this more, is a mechanism to show us who we are. I think it was very difficult for men to navigate life in the echo chamber that we're in, to understand ourselves, what it means to be a man in the modern day without other men around you and without other men to actually reflect back at them their vulnerabilities and their problems. We all have the same problems. We're all climbing the same mountain and we all face the same challenges. But I didn't know that until I was able to come into a space where men of all levels, men, multimillionaires, to men who don't have a pot to piss in, seen as equals, as men, and sharing their vulnerable stories to allow me to feel comfortable and connected to share mine. So for me, I believe it's because there is a misunderstanding of what it means to be vulnerable. And for me, courageous vulnerability is what enabled me to do that. Because the man that I want to be is a man of courage. And the only thing you actually need in order to be vulnerable is courage. So how do you tap into that part of you to lead yourself in that space, to allow you to receive the support and be seen as you are, and not have this very heavy mask of I've got it all together and the shame that comes with that.
It's a great answer, mate. It's a great delve into it as well, because I think that is the thing. It's the shame for a lot of people where let me drown when all you need to do is actually just stick your hand up. A lot of men would rather go all the way under than just say, I need saved. Interesting. What about you, Matty boy?
Can you just refresh me on that question?
Why are most successful men still drowning? And I'll reframe it a different way. The world of information that we're in just now, why are we still drowning then?
I think we're still drowning because not only with successful men, but also with men just getting started. Now more so than ever, there's more eyes on us than ever. I think we're far more connected on a social level in terms of social media, but far more disconnected in the heart and in brotherhood and in soul. So for us previously, you could enter a workspace, you could earn an average living, and that was enough to actually support, provide, protect the people around you. You had a duty of care and a responsibility, and that responsibility was taken care of through average means. But due to the comparison factor of social media and this consistency of status, materialism, of life positioning, this comparison factor often skews where we are and how far we've actually come in comparison to what everyone else is doing. And we see the smallest percentage of that. We see the 1% or the 0.1% with the most amount of eyes, attention, and visibility, optics, and we think that that's normal life. But you take a bigger step away from that entire situation and you realize that that is just a very, very small percentage, and that our comparison is no longer with who we are as individuals, but everyone else in the world. We're not meant to see 10, 15, 20,000 people on a daily basis. Our brains can't compute that. You know, I think it's said that 150 people in our ecosystem was the amount of people that we could actually connect with on a deeper level. And outside of that just creates more anxiety, more pressure, more confusion than ever.
Wow. So much gold in that just to begin with. 150 people, as much as I love people, that would have me drown at certain points.
I think it's 144. It's kind of the tribe.
Oh, there we go, the 144.
So as that tribe would get to that point, and it was a men's coach who told me that at the weekend. As soon as you cross that number, the tribe starts to break down.
Yeah, for sure. It's such an amazing point that we just take it as the norm now. We don't even recognise how much the responsibility was, and I'm sure we'll dive into this deeper. It was just like provide, protect. But I think that's it. We're drowning in so many more responsibilities now, and in the hyper micro comparisons within each of all of those. Like, yeah, you're right. We're exposed to millions of people, and like this net of boxes that we need to tick off as men to be quote unquote successful going forward. So yeah.
And it's interesting how unconscious that process is as well, right? What we were speaking about before of like the way the mind works, there's so many unconscious judgments and comparisons that are happening all the time that we're walking into the lines then every time we pick up our phones.
You've actually answered this perfectly, which I knew you legends would do, but I was going to come at it from a slightly different, more direct thing. Obviously you're helping men with a minimum of 10k per month. Now, in the modern metrics, that would be classed as successful. Obviously, Matt, your ex-professional background as well as a fighter, that was amazing utility as well, like to create safety for people. So working with these specific niches, and I know you're transitioning out that to be showing people that there's so much more to that as well. Why is that not enough anymore? Why is the money and the manly man thing being able to provide and protect, why is that not enough anymore, do you think? Or is it enough?
The question of what is enough is a very complex question, right? I feel like the social status and standing that Matt expressed and spoke about is very prevalent, of the goalposts are always moving, so we never actually feel like we are where we want to be, which ultimately is an expression of the inner work that isn't done for a lot of guys, because I think it's a black hole. Money can't fix those problems. Money solves money problems. And if you are constantly seeking validation through money and status and validation through material success, it's just a fool's game. You're never going to arrive at that destination. So I think the lack of understanding of inner work, and Theo spoke about this recently beautifully around there's a distinction between personal development and inner work.
Yes.
So personal development is us building us to play status games.
Yeah.
How do we perform better in the workplace, in the egoic space? Inner work is actually us coming back to a wholeness and in our heart. So it's the combination of those two things. I think there's a lack of understanding. I think there's a lack of people doing the work. And I think there's shame associated with doing that work, because we have to have this mask that we have it all together. And if you are figuring things out, then that can be like, oh, you aren't good enough, or you're broken, or there's problems. And I know the first personal development I picked up was The Game, which is a game about pickup.
Neil Strauss.
Yeah, great book, by the way. But the only reason I accepted that about myself was because it was around picking up women. I couldn't read a book around confidence because I was the confident guy. So it was like an acceptable way for me to like go into that through that channel.
Yeah.
And even I felt shame about it. It's a very private thing. I didn't talk to my friends about it because there's this egoic competition. So I think like the social conditioning of what it means to grow up in a man as showing the mask of strong, confident, need to be kind of conquering women and all of the things that come with that. I think even entering the space of personal development can come with a lot of shame to limit some guys in that. And then the depth of what it actually takes to heal that core masculine wound of not being enough takes a hell of a lot of work. And it is an onion that just keeps pulling back and pulling back and pulling back. And the more you go into spaces that require that, the more you're going to be triggered. But it's, as us three are aware, it is, you are able to do it to a certain level.
Yeah, triggers are the gift, right?
Absolutely. So I think, it goes back to courage for me around having the courage to enter that space over and over and over and over again. And that will be the solution, I believe, to it.
Beautiful. And good segue as well. Make sure you check out the episode link in the comments for Theo as well that we mentioned. So I used to call personal development, it was like self-development back in the day, and personal development, same thing. But I was like, this isn't self-development because it eventually becomes shelf-development. You just put it on a shelf somewhere and go, oh, that was amazing, and rah, 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 and God bless Tony Robbins, but like, everyone walks on fire, and then 3 days later the fire goes out and you're left with the same burns, the same scars. So inner work, that's it. It's a journey of going in, but it's a great point you bring up, is like, it's come back to the drowning thing in the beginning, that you need to even put your hand up. I remember reading a book years ago, and it was like, you don't learn to ride a bike at a seminar. But for us as men, like, for you, I was going to say the hole in one analogy, but it's like walking out like Prince Nassim Hamed back in the day, when it bang, one dig, KO. Like, it's possible, but it's not probable. But I think men enter into this, there's a pressure that we should just know, and we've got to hit it straight out the bat. So now if I'm putting my hand up to something vulnerable, the precursor to that must mean that I don't have it all figured out. It's a great point, man. You come at it from a different angle, mate. Like, obviously as an ex-pro fighter, why is it that the same mindset, that dialed in focus that makes champions, is also the same thing that breeds massive isolation?
I think because by definition, if you want to be the 1%, you can't do what the 99% does. So there is a natural isolation that comes with that. You put yourself in these rooms, in these arenas, because you want to achieve certain goals, and they require a different life altogether. And I think coming back to the original question of why men nowadays don't feel like enough, I think the masculine timeline has creeped dramatically. I think our parents' generation were able to have kids at 20 years old. They were able to have a job. They were able to provide a house, a family, and everything that comes with that. But now, so much has changed in, say, the last 15 to 20 years that it's not just enough to have the normal job, to even be considered as a partner in this modern world, simply due to the fact that women aren't only looking at the people in their area anymore. There is...
Wow.
And I'll go deeper into that. You lived in a hometown, you may have known the next town over and the town behind you, but now we are so socially connected that women that once had an option of 200 men in a 10-15 kilometre radius now have the whole world at their fingertips.
Wow.
Men are flying them out from Dubai, from Bali, from Thailand,
Tulum and other places.
Tulum, New York, Miami, Vegas. The normal man isn't enough anymore. He's not considered enough. If he works a normal job, if he doesn't have the status, if he doesn't have the social proof, in most cases, for younger men, this is what we're looking at. You ask younger men nowadays a lot of the time, what do you want to do when you grow up? When we were younger, I said, I want to be a fighter, I want to be a soldier, I want to be an astronaut, I want to be a fireman. But now they say they want to be an influencer.
Wow.
An influencer to what?
Yeah.
Who are you influencing?
Yeah.
Where is this influence coming from with no experience? So for women, they're moving and developing at such a fast rate because they've been given an innate value through sexuality, through beauty, through youth and fertility at, say, 16 years old. We only develop that closer to 30. So there is a massive, complex situation that we're dealing with because the axis of commitment is very far skewed. Whereas women are often trying to settle down at, say, 30 years old. Whereas we as men are often just taking off at 30 years old.
Yeah.
We're not where we need to be financially. We're not where we need to be financially. We're not where we need to be emotionally, spiritually. So as women have enjoyed the perks of their youth, their beauty, their fertility, now they're looking to really settle down and found the foundations for a healthy and happy life, this biological purpose that they have. Whereas us as men at the same time, we're only just coming into the position to even know what our purpose could potentially be.
Yeah. There's so much gold in that there, mate. It's something that we've spoke about off camera since we've met in so many different aspects, but I've never heard it that like clear, to the point, and like worrying, to be honest. But there's a little bit I want to go into there as well, because one, that only perpetuates the little boy within that carries that father wound anyway of never being enough and having to perform to receive love anyway. So now that's just multiplied and amplified in so many different ways. But in all things balanced that I'm looking for, I want to counter that for a little bit, and this is where your legends come in, is if we can get men in that period where they might be feeling lonely and they're looking at that not enoughness is really going, but we've got a safe container to bring them in that warrior's mindset, to be focused on a singular goal, but actually just a remixed version of the 30 to 50 people that you have every week in person, which is amazing, by the way. The 1,000 and the plus, we're getting the 1,000 in the WhatsApp group, but that's only how things are starting. Can't wait to see how this podcast gathers pace over 2, 3, 5, 10 years. Definitely be bigger numbers then. But it's just about helping that one person anyway. But having that container as they're going through that hyper comparative mode in the social world that we live in, or the anti-social world that we live in, for me, that's an amazing opportunity. We're working on ourselves to build these foundations to have that family future that a lot of us, don't want to speak for every man, but for a lot of us innately want and have done since little kids. A lot of these girls now that are having their head turned with OnlyFans, Instagram baddies, porn, all this cheap stuff out there, they're actually tarnishing that by the time they get to 30. When we're ready to receive them, we actually, if we've done it in our work, we go, I'm not accepting that anymore. I'm not mourning that part of me at 18 that thought boobs, bum and everything else. I mean, we're primal beings, but I don't think it ever really comes from a point of disrespect. We're trying to figure things out as we go. But anyway, I'm going off topic here. In that period where the man that doesn't have the support network can go further down the abyss of not enoughness, how important is it then to catch them to get to that point of purpose and poise and peace within, so that when, say, 30 for the barometer that we're using for the purpose of the point, it gets to that point that we go, now I've actually got choices here and I'm always choosing from self now. Not that I'm judging the girls, because we all make mistakes, but aesthetics isn't going to cut it anymore. I'm looking for a happy wife for life that's going to be a model for our kids. If I have a little daughter, I don't want her knowing that mum had OnlyFans, and that's the thing about the internet, it never forgets, right? So what would you say to the man that's maybe in that comparative point? How would you frame it to them? That, listen, we've got an opportunity. Come in, connect. You're not alone. We can actually really build everything that your future self is going to be so proud of. I know that's very complex there, but yeah, there's so many things come off. That was such a great point, man.
I think for Ryan and I, we're at an age where we're still relative. If you look at our parents' generation, 60 years old now, 65, it's hard for the younger generation to actually understand them, and vice versa. So for us, we have a duty and a responsibility to actually connect with the younger generation of men. And one thing I've realized over the past just shy of 2 years, that it's easier to build strong men than it is to fix it's easier to build strong boys than it is to fix wounded men.
Yes.
And I've really leaned into that, because with what I'm moving into is I would like to be the older brother, be the older cousin, be the support system for younger men, and really highlight to them that the earlier you get a jump on this, the easier it is. If you can almost move through wounding before actually feeling the wounding.
Yes.
If you can prolong it or not have to experience it at all due to your surroundings, your circles, your support system, we don't have to fix them. We can build them to be educated, to be informed, to be far more aware on a self-development level, but also on an inner development level, on a heart-based level, on a spiritual-based level. I think by doing that, by the time you get to, say, 30, you have compounded your experiences so dramatically, say, from 18 to 20 years old, that when you enter that stage, you really know where you're going, what you want, a clear guideline, a clear path to actually achieve that.
And who you are, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. More so than anything, who you are and what you want. So
powerful, man. Proact and prevent rather than react and repent, yeah.
It's such a beautiful question and such a beautiful answer, and like it's a really interesting observation for me right now, because you're so aware of like what's happening on the ground, like your killer instinct. You're so aware of like situational, which has been a really interesting observation for me, because I tend to look more inwards. But for me, a quote that really rings true for me is, a man without pleasure will distract himself. A man without purpose will distract himself with pleasure.
Yeah.
And I think in a hedonistic reality that we live in, with all this stimulus and dopamine and how we're chemically wired, it's so easy for us to fall into pleasure. And I know I'd done that for like 8 years, 10 years. And it wasn't until, and the thing that was the most transformational thing for me, is why I serve men at this level now, is having purpose. Because it was such a void in my life. I looked around the world and I didn't understand why. I had so much envy of like, why do people like look like, why do people know what they want to do? Why do they know what they want to study? Why do they know what they want to do for their work? Why do they seem happy in their job? And I'm like, I'm so discontent. Yeah. I'm so like distracted and disconnected. And that was the reality of me drinking, partying, taking drugs, and just escaping it all. And it wasn't until I really understood what purpose is and how purpose affects us, because we innately, I deeply believe, and I said this to Matt yesterday, the greatest gift that we can give a man is understanding his role in the world. Mm-hmm. Understanding like, this is what I'm here to do. This is how I can use these things, these hands, my body, my mind, and this is where I fit in this whole confusing world. And with the way the world is going and how radically things are changing with AI, the world is different. It's moving at a faster pace than ever. But the beautiful thing about that, which I believe, it's going to create more space for more purpose, because the shit jobs are going to fall away. But the men who are going to succeed, the men who are really going to thrive in the world that we're moving into, are the ones that deeply align to meaning and purpose in their life through alchemizing everything that's happened to them. Every single thing that's ever happened to you is guiding you towards where you're meant to be. And if you can have that perspective and look back, connect all these dots and find what's inspiring you and find what you're curious about and merge them together. And this is the work that you and I do. And it's a beautiful, paradigm shattering process. And part of the work that we're going to be doing with the men from the documentary coming into our world and taking them through a process of it, this is where you belong. And it's a belonging with self and a belonging to a brotherhood, but a belonging into humanity as well. And I think we seek that. And that is the connection that we seek from an internal perspective, but then from a humanity perspective, how we make an impact in the world. And I don't think there's anything more powerful than feeling that connection to everything. When I used to feel like a little grain of sand, and I'm so insignificant in this whole thing.
It's beautiful, right?
Oh man. It's like, it's the greatest gift that I've ever been given. And that's why I feel like it's such an amazing gift that I get to give people, and if you don't know where it is right now, it isn't something out there. It's not something you find and look for. It's not over the horizon. And it's within. You tune into it. And it doesn't have to be, I'm going to save the world, or I'm going to plant 1 million trees, or I'm going to end world hunger. It's like, no, I'm waking up every day to provide for my family right now. Yeah. That's purpose. That's enough. But again, not enoughness. It has to be this grandiose, life-changing thing. And if it's not that, it's not enough. Yeah. And it perpetuates a cycle. So, again, for the listeners, like, you have it. It's there. You're already living it. You just don't have the perspective of realizing all of that and then allowing that to move with intention through life right now.
Beautiful, man. It's a great segue in as well there. Like, hopefully they could see the tears of inspiration that we're coming up there talking about, and significance, and that we've spoken about this so many times, that your deepest pain is your soul's purpose, and that's the wound. We feel insignificant, we feel overlooked, we don't feel good enough, we feel unheard. And then you get to a point, if you do the inner work, where you go like that, oh, I'm insignificant. It's actually not all about me, but it's never not about me either. I'm always there. I'm attached to everything. Purpose is not my career, it's not what I do for a job. It's just peace. I get to live in my highest values. So that's brilliant. Let's bring it back to how the purpose within the Brotherhood started to grow. So the original meeting, the coffee with the four of you, what were you saying? What were you talking about in that original meeting that other men weren't talking about until you launched Bali Brotherhood?
I think we have different origin stories, don't we, of the Brotherhood? You start with yours, because it segues how we come into each other.
So I was actually walking on the beach with a friend of mine, and we were both going through challenging times. I had just come out of a relationship. He was also out of a relationship, moving through his own pressures and experience at that moment. And we said, like, fuck, if I'm experiencing this, if you're experiencing this, how many other people are experiencing this? So we said, why don't we put something together? If it's not there and we want it, why don't we build it? And then we brought in someone else, and it kind of was a little bit put on the back burner. And then the boys, we all rallied together kind of thing and actually put it into action. And that's when Ryan was introduced, like, the very first time. And it snowballed from there.
Yeah, I think for my origin story of the Brotherhood,
Action man, Ryan.
Yeah. I actually went on a men's retreat with one of the guys that we started it with before, and it was an Instagram post. I was feeling super lonely and disconnected in the bud, and it was like blank, like a black screen with a mushroom in ? I was like, yes, let's send mushroom. And I turned up to this house, about 8 guys there, and we just done a mushroom ceremony. Never met them all, done our own inner work, and then after that, we just connected all night around masculinity, stoicism, men's work. And it was the most refreshing conversation I've ever had. And I was like, wow. And then we left, and then everyone dispersed, and I went to South America, and everyone kind of gone to different parts of the world. And then I got a text from when they started it, Bali Brotherhood, coffee this Saturday. And I went back, it was the guys that were there. And I'd just come back from Dubai, where I was part of a men's group for like 8 weeks. It was so valuable for me. I had so much to get off my chest. I didn't even understand how much I had to get off my chest, but the consistency of 8 weeks going there it was my anchor in Dubai in a really hard time of my life. There's so much pressure, so much financial stress. And it was such a safe space for me. So then as soon as I come, I was like, guys, I've got all of this stuff that I've just been learning. And I just introduced it the first week. Oh, we can do this. Let's do this. Let's figure out this. And then through that, we just kept showing up. People ask, "What's the secret?" It's like
consistency.
Just show up.
Always.
And I think it's amazing. And just for Matt as well. Like, obviously, I do business consulting, right? So I have benefited from it, and it's never been the intention of that, but it's been a second benefit from it. But Matt hasn't got any clients or anything from it, but he's still shown up for nearly 18 months without a single penny, nothing in return. And I was like, there is literally probably 0 other people and millions of people that would be willing to do that. And I asked him yesterday, why? Why do you do that? He said, because it's not about me. And that was my answer. It's not about me. It's about the men that are feeling lonely. Because we felt that loneliness. And there hasn't been one moment of, do I go today? It's never been that. It's just been highest priority, highest value, and it's been easy.
Even in your worst, you have something to offer, yeah?
Absolutely. Never been one single day that we've either of us have considered not showing up.
Beautiful, man. Question has just come up for me here that I think would benefit a lot of guys watching this. Go with you first, Ryan. When did you know you had became a man?
What an amazing question, man.
Do you know? Yeah, you are the man, but when did you know?
Yeah. Do you know what? I still doubt it at times, I feel there's a level of imposter syndrome around me speaking about masculinity online, because I feel like it's such a an evolving thing. Like we're always expanding into it. It's never like we arrive there, I think, because it's such an expansive energy. I'd say the times that I feel like I am a man is mainly in my relationship, more so.
Beautiful.
It's more how I show up in times that are very emotionally distressing, that I'm able to contain myself and hold my partner in those moments. When in the past it would have been like door slamming, people walking away, and then just conflict just spiraling out of control. And I feel like really when I'm like, oh, this is the time of like all the work I'm doing is the most important. Yes, when I show up for the men on a Saturday, but more so in those times of wounding and when both of our inner childs are out and there's conflict and there's screaming, and it's because we only want to come together in love.
Yeah.
I think they're the most times that I've been the most proud of all the work that I've done, because of my highest value is family and relationships. So being able to be composed in that, and hold my fiance in that moment and have the conflict, but heal so presently in that moment with tears of gratitude and connection. I feel like that is like the epitome of kind of what it means to be a man for me. Obviously there's the other leadership staff, but it's like I would give all of that up for that.
So choosing presence maybe over old fears of wanting to run away.
Yeah, presence, love, connection.
Beautiful, man.
Yeah, for me.
I think that's the safe men that all women are looking for in some aspect. Matty boy, the fighting world is where a lot of young men go to test themselves in combat. Was there a part of you that you felt consciously or unconsciously that that's where you were going to maybe uncover that part of yourself, like who you were, your potential, what you were capable of, and that initiation? Because I feel as if it's part of it's missing. I know we spoke about
Great question,
the Sons of Anarchy, like the sacred Sons of Anarchy riding round. We're just too busy. But we don't really have a ritualistic rite of passage from boy to man in the Western world. Was there a part of you that's maybe subconsciously what you were seeking?
Definitely. No rite of passage, no initiation in this current Western world, but through fighting, through brotherhood, through camaraderie, through pain amongst men was a natural rite of passage. It was unspoken, but it was consistent. And I saw it. I was one of the youngest boys. It was myself, Daniel Williams, Mini T, Jordan Godfreyson. We were in the gym in a shed from like 14 years old. The other boys even younger.
We Google those three if you don't know who they are. Look, Matt's here, but wow, what a triad that is.
Absolute savages. And we came there as boys, and in a very short few years, with the guidance and the support from Darren Kurovic, we became men in such a short space of time. So much to the point that we didn't really agree to fights. We were just given fights, simply due to the fact that he knew our capabilities and he knew our strengths. We never turned down a fight at all. It was us, Calsock, and the Pit were like two of the hungriest, toughest gyms in the state and also in the country, led by Blair Smith and Darren Kurovic. And they were really a very formative support system and genuine role models for our lives. The suffering that we felt was by choice. The pain that we felt was very conscious. We knew what we were going there to do. We knew how hard it was going to be. So much so to the point where you'd get anxiety knowing that you're going to train a certain day, certain sparring with certain people. The uncomfort, the not wanting to show up, but that knowing that you're going to show up regardless of how you felt was something that built my mental resilience, my discipline, my integrity to know that I had to do 10 laps dragging a tyre and Darren wasn't going to be there. But if I didn't do it, I'm the one that loses on come fight day. You're the only one that knows the work that you've done, and you can't hide that, because that's going to show up in confidence, that's going to show up in aura, that's going to show up in every part of you. You know that when you jump into that ring, you've done the best that you can do. There's nothing more that you could have done, and you've turned every single stone to reach that point. and there's a switch that happens. That is true purpose. When everything goes away, that is true presence in the moment, where nothing else matters. All other thoughts, all other problems, all other challenges in life go away, and for 15 minutes you're in there and it's just dialed in. You hear your coaches, you don't see the crowd, you just fully focus on eliminating that other person in front of you.
That's the killer instinct right there, isn't it?
You see the wee cheeky smile coming out as well. Thank God we're pals.
Yeah.
But I do want to just touch on quickly, when I realized that I was a man. And when I realized that I was a man was when I had full responsibility for someone else.
Wow.
When there was a switch that happened at a very young age for me, where I realized that it was no longer what my parents can give me, but what I can give them, what I can give my brothers, my blood brothers and my brothers around me. At that point, knowing that you have a responsibility to achieve, that you have a duty to provide, you have a responsibility to be there as an older, as a younger, regardless. If you're wanting the tribe with more energy, you do more work, and that's as simple as that. Yeah. You show up when other people can't show up. You be there as a support system, even a message, even a phone call, just to be there. I think that's when I realised that I was a man.
That's amazing, bro. And even when you were talking to the fighting stuff as well, like, obviously never anywhere near your level, but I'll keep this short and sweet because I don't want to make it about me, but there's such a cultural thing about being Scottish, and I think it's shared with a lot of men. It's like, who even am I without pain? And it kind of becomes a badge of honour, look how much shit I can take. And I was one of the people in the amateur fights that I had that sometimes I wouldn't get started till I get cracked. And that's very much a part that has nothing to do with martial arts. But in those moments, because I knew what I could take, because what I had done and the hard things I had come through, that's when the fight began, really, for me, because it was actually nothing to do with how hard that person hit or how flush they got me in the chin. That's when most people quit, because they don't do the reps. And as soon as things get tough, if you're skipping and training, the first opportunity you've got to bounce, you'll take it. And that's where I think martial arts, as an ex-teacher, I think it should be in every school. Not to promote violence that the uneducated people see, but the camaraderie. But yes, it's you versus you, or you versus another opponent, and there's a whole team that gets you to that point. As you said, like the common goal, all the anxiety you feel in the build up to it, it's the old saying, like, train hard, win easy. And I think that's the thing for life. And I was going to ask you guys a question, but such as the depth of your souls and the answers that you're giving me, I don't think it actually applies to you, so I'll reframe it to maybe other men that are coming through the work. Do you think that a lot of men don't know that they've become a man? Or maybe they have a realisation that I never really became a man, I just got older. And what do you think is a common crack in the shell that makes them realise, oh, I need to take stock of this and maybe I have that opportunity for the presence, for the purpose, for something bigger than myself?
I think, like, my understanding of change and behaviour change within my coaching profession, we only really change when the pain of staying the same is worse than the pain of change. And I think a lot of men don't reach enough pain to change. They live in this pocket of like a 6 out of 10, where it's like, it's okay, by all means it looks okay, inside I feel disconnected, but it's not painful enough to ever change. And I'll never get to that point in my psyche or my journey to actually radically crack open and be like, oh my goodness, everything I need needs to change.
Do you think that's a recent thing, mate? Like the new age of boy to man, maybe the last 10, 15, 20 years, whereas it's easier to get out, maybe for the very beginning, what you said, there's so much comparison. I'm just going to go this way. I'm just going to go that way.
Potentially. I feel like to come back to what it means to transition from boy to man, I think because there is no rite of passage, there is no ceremonial, ritualistic process to go through, it just all blends into one until tragedy, heartbreak, some kind of, it's like we only get changed through pain or insight. So if you're lucky enough to have an insight or someone inspires you that much to that degree, oh my goodness, this is amazing. If you're on the path of personal development. However, if it's painful, it's usually through tragedy, heartbreak, some kind of event that shakes you so much to your core that you get slapped, that you have to change. And that's happened to me so many times. Yeah. And my first one was after a breakup, and then I got on the scales and I was eating 19 stone. And I looked at myself in the mirror, and this veil of who I thought I was in the world, my ego just shattered. And I was like, oh my goodness, I've been living in denial this whole time. And then that was the first time I actually raised my hand and reached out to a friend of mine who was an online coach. And I was like, bro, I need your help, man, because I've been telling myself I was going to do it for 10 years and I've never done it. Yeah. And I think that because there is no conditioned or ceremonial process, I think boys go into manhood, and manhood can be very 6 out of 10 for a long time until it either happens or it doesn't happen. For some guys it does, for me it did. For other guys, I don't think it does. And I just don't think there's any drive or motivation to change until it happens to them.
Yeah. Beautiful. Do you agree?
I definitely do. I think nowadays, previously, I believe that life was harder for men in certain aspects, but also not in others. Yeah. And I think, if you look at your grandfather and how your grandfather treated your dad, in most cases, it was very stern. It was very solid. There was a lot less emotion, a lot less communication. And I think we've almost gone too far the other way. Now it's almost too soft in the world, where, like Ryan said, we don't reach that position of pain because the world is so convenient in certain aspects. Now you can like a girl's picture on Instagram, send a DM, and that's considered an approach.
Yeah.
So we never had to do the things that were normal back in the day, and now it's created this softness amongst us as a society, where simple things like being told off at work is now considered bullying.
Yeah. And
simple things as a fight in the schoolyard is now considered an assault. Where we as young men, we learnt hierarchy, we learnt body language, we learnt social settings, we learnt the ability to disarm situations, the ability to learn street smarts from such a young age that I think now with social media and people being on their phones, they don't see the outside world. So much so to the point where you miss that. You're not out at skate parks dealing with the local hoodlums. You're not having fights. You're not learning these smart situations. And I think people become far too trusting of the world. They're very naive and ignorant to how dangerous and how hard this world can actually be because they stay in their bubble. And as Ryan spoke of, the 6 out of 10. When you're not pushed and you're not stretched, it's easy to remain in that position forever. But on the outside of that, if you step into the 7 to 10 range rather than the 6 to 1, that's where your true life is. Yeah. And I don't think that we honestly give ourselves enough time as younger men with the masculine age creeping to truly get to know who we are as an individual, to realize our limits, to where we have woundings, to where our family traumas show up for us. Yeah. Quite often they show up in relationships. Quite often they show up in times when you think to yourself, everything else is good. And that's when it's like, oh shit, why do I feel this way? Why am I not feeling enough? Why do I feel inadequate? It's like you realize when you were young, you were treated a certain way from your father or for your mother. You pedestalize these people. And you realize that you put yourself down to put someone else up. Yeah. You get to a position when you're in a relationship where it's like, this person has become your everything so far so to the point where you don't prioritize yourself, where you don't prioritize your own health, your physical health, your mental health, your spiritual health, your emotional health. For us as a brotherhood, we've now created a space, facilitated a place where men can genuinely come and speak about those type of things. Yeah. And I truly think now that we have to understand the world for what the world is, without putting the cloak of safetyness, without putting this love and light bullshit that doesn't go far apart from Ubud. And really realize the complexity of the life that we have. Yeah. And also the duty and the responsibility that we have to show up as men in this life.
Touching some amazing things there as well. Like, what do you think is the wound that's underneath that external seeking for love through performance? Where do you think it stems from?
So for me, growing up and being in a dad who was very keen on sport, my whole life was sport. By the age of 15, I was on the books professional football as a goalkeeper with Brighton Hove Albion, and then in the summer I was playing cricket for Sussex. So I was on the books of both professional sports that my dad loved. My dad's two favourite sports. I was at the highest level I could be at that age, apart from playing for the country. And as soon as that fell apart, and bearing in mind he was the dad who would be at every game shouting from the sidelines, all the time, shouting and screaming at the sidelines. So I had to perform at a high level in order to be loved and accepted. And then when that kind of fell apart, and I got released from both of them, I can go back to that moment. I got released from being a footballer so clearly. I've been there so many times inside my mind. Sussex, I don't even remember, because I guess it was just like, but that was the real crack of, oh my goodness, the life I thought I was going to live is not going to happen anymore. Who am I in this world? And our relationship just fell apart. The thing that we had, we didn't have a thing anymore. And then through that process, I kind of identified with myself of like, I'm not enough, I'm not good enough unless I perform. And then that new performance sphere became like partying. And I was like going hard in that. And then it was work. And then it became business. And it was this perpetual cycle of me trying to perform at the highest level, ultimately to fill this gap of, Dad, do you see me? Do you love me now?
Yeah.
And the other side of that is that after doing some other work, I realized this unworthiness was actually from my mother as well. And I embodied her, what I perceived as her unworthiness. So as both of the influence of my parents that created this void within me. And I feel, honestly, over the past like 2 or 3 weeks, I was really going into this and having the experience I need to have. I feel I'm finally at that point where I don't pedestal people anymore, which is like a real amazing, beautiful. And I had it mirrored from one of the brothers. It was like, you've got to stop doing this, mate. And I was like, doing what? And he told me, I didn't even know I was doing that. But it's so obvious to the people in my life, but I couldn't see it. So now I think through looking at both of my relationships with my father and my mother, I've kind of healed that part of me now and really owned my worth, which is a beautiful place to be, considering I've been doing the work for like 8 years, 7, 8 years. So it takes a while.
Just layers, as you said.
It's going to be something else next week, won't it?
Yeah. What about you, bro?
I think obviously that wound is different amongst all of us.
Yeah.
It's influenced by so many different factors. And I think when sometimes we take a hyper responsibility towards certain situations, you create your own wound. And I can speak on that, definitely. Yeah. My parents migrated to Australia to give us a better opportunity at life, safety, security, and it was always my life mission to repay them for that. And it still is. So I definitely felt a massive amount of love from both of my parents, from support. And my mum is an absolute angel, like pushed me to be like, you can do whatever you want to do. Yep. My dad was a little bit more reserved and he was a little bit fearful from life. As South African people, there was a big community status of, people are looking at you like you have to conform in a certain way. And the way that I look, I'm completely the opposite. And maybe there is a subconscious rebellion in that, simply to the fact I'm head to toe in tattoos. And I was never the normal kid of just following the rules. Yeah. There was always the rebellion, not because I felt like I wanted to be rebellious, because it just felt good to me in the moment. Yeah. But now I look at the situation, and when my mum was diagnosed with cancer, it kind of sped everything up, because I was thinking, I have a responsibility to make her life better after they've sacrificed so much to make our life better. And it really shortened the time frame of that. There was a subconscious guilt for someone else's illness.
Yeah.
And then I was thinking to myself, why has this situation even come about? And then I take this hyper responsible position of, it's because I wasn't where I needed to be. So I couldn't allow them to actually not get certain things when certain things were forced on us, and allow them to actually take a step back, because they said, well, what are we going to do? You know, we've moved 10,000 kilometers. We've left our family to come to have a better life. Like, we can't not work. We can't not have a roof over our heads. We're not going to go back to where we were 30 years ago. Now it's like my life mission to make sure that I can provide for them. But outside of that, at this current stage, almost everything else somewhat goes on hold. Like relationships, kids, that side of life, where now I'm a single man at 30 years old. I can take the risks. I could lose it all 1 month, get it back the next month, lose it all the next month, get it back the following month. So for me, the wounding that I believe that I have, and I don't even want to say trauma, because I feel like that word is a buzzword now. It's lost its passion, it's lost its potency. I think a lot of my own wounding is self-induced. I take full responsibility for it, but it's also a driving factor. It's also something that's allowed me to get to where I am, to who I am, to be around the people that I'm around now. So I don't try to escape it. I take full responsibility for it.
Yeah. And
it is what it is at this stage. I'm like, it's the fire that can burn you, or it's the fire that can propel you. And for me, I'm using it as propulsion.
It's that pain to purpose. And I think the wound is the wisdom, the trauma is the triumph. It's just, again, people are kind of uneducated in what trauma is. They think it's an event. I think it's just like the nervous system being caught in a cycle. So one thing I do want to touch on, that deeply profound share there, is how do you navigate, because you touched on the hyper responsibility and then the guilt that comes because you're putting so much maybe pressure on yourself to be responsible. So when people have made sacrifices, how are you navigating the dance of going, wow, I have value because I'm worth that, but also I kind of feel in debt. So we can't really have worth and debt at the same time. So how are you dancing between that?
I'm really leaning into the fact of trying to be in the present moment.
Beautiful.
Really, really am. And it's been a struggle for me, like through identity crisis of leaving fighting and moving into this next stage of life. You look too far ahead, it creates almost an anxiety, a lack of worth. If you look in the past, it's like you're not enough type situation. There's always that feeling of pain that's kind of holding you back, that anchor. So for me at this stage, it's about understanding that every day is a gift. Every day is an opportunity to just be, not to be better, to just be.
Yeah.
And through being consistently, we will become better. To understand that we need to achieve certain things and we have an opportunity rather than a have to actually do that. It's kind of recentered me.
That's amazing, man. I think so many men need to hear that it's, I get to, I don't have to, and I don't have to do anything. I can just be. It's a great segue into the Brotherhood on a Saturday morning, right? Just show up. You see it every single week, and you guys, again, with your integrity, with your authenticity, do that every single week. And that's a beautiful thing about having camaraderie in a community, right? Because you're really taking off in certain aspects. You're going back to see your family and taking off in certain aspects. You're about to fly with your project we'll get to in a minute. So the good thing is that you've got, I don't need to do everything myself if I'm not there. You're there, but we, as a brotherhood, are never not there. So what gets spoke about on a Saturday in Bali Brotherhood that doesn't happen anywhere else?
What I believe it is that the space that we intentionally create is a space of expression. There's nothing that you can say in this space, bro, that will not be received, that will be judged, that won't be received with love and non-judgment and just received. And the reason why I believe that we can do that is because we've created that space within ourselves. And then that's the space we create for other men. And that's a reflection of the work that we've done around compassion. And it really is a space where whatever that thing is, the thing that you feel like, oh my goodness, I can't, it weighs so heavy on me, but I don't have anyone who I trust can receive this without judging me back, who I feel I would be sharing this and be a burden on them, or even who wants to fucking hear it. And we just create that space so that whatever you've got to say, to get off your chest, to shake it off, and just allow that thing to be released from you, you have a space for that. And sometimes that can literally be, I want to celebrate myself, actually. It doesn't have to be, oh my goodness, that my world's ending and I've got so much anxiety and I'm feeling all this guilt and shame. It's just that, you know what? I'm fucking doing well at the minute. Great, amazing. Let's celebrate that with the success circles. But other times it really is a place where you can, because I believe that the intention is around a North Star. You're not here to dump. It's not just here, like, we're not women. We don't need a place to just verbally dump at times. It's, this is what I'm working on, going through or trying to solve right now. And this is the thing that I feel is actually limiting me from that. And it can be quite hidden away, but we feel it. And the more self-aware we are, we know. So it's a place for us to really express that, embody that, and show courage and vulnerability as the man that we need to show up in the world as, but in a place that we can do it from a place of safety and trust first, so that we can then take that out into the world. And I know that the shame around money, relationships, sex, all of these taboo topics can be spoken about, anything in there. And as soon as it's said, it's just released, and then you feel power. And it's a visceral, primal feeling that I get personally, and the men get, because we're naturally wired to do it. And again, to go back to the start around the conditioning of it's not okay to speak, there it is. And you feel it once you get it off. You feel the release energetically, and you feel the connection by being vulnerable yourself and seeing vulnerability in a man. And it builds a very beautiful relationship that you do have that sense of brotherhood going into the world. So you are supported, so that if anything happens, you no longer feel alone. You have a space that you can come back to and just offload. So
beautiful. And you mentioned the wins, which I was going to go to Matt about, but we'll do it in a different way now, because as men, we're constantly judging ourselves in certain aspects of, like, where are we the sinner, that we forget, well, where are you the fucking winner? Where is life good? Like you just say, like, I'm perpetuating maybe some of my own stuff from the past. Where can I just go, let me just take the gloves off for a minute. I don't need to do that. So with the celebration circles, the non-coaching stuff and the agreements and things that you have, can you talk a little bit more of the parameters that you have and the healthy masculine container that we have, so that us as men can actually nurture that feminine part of ourselves without having to have it all figured out, just to get it out in that safe space? And then I'm going to come back to you where maybe the Brotherhood in business dovetails from that, because there are a lot of people that come to these things, let's be honest, and they see it as free lead generation. And I think how you guys hold the integrity of that whilst also allowing your visions to grow, it's not easy, man. And I see it and I respect it. So what parameters and stuff do you have in place each Saturday, and what other things are you doing beyond the Saturdays that allow, just from a brotherhood point of view, to be heard? And listen, just for the camera to be aware, that's not the stereotypical Matt is the fighter, so he's coming in being stoic. The two of them actually dovetail, going back and forward. If anything, actually, you're more in your fun softness there, but if shit needs to be said, it gets done. Both of you hold those poles within really well. So just wanted to say that there's more to this guy than just punching people in the chops.
Yeah. I think for Ryan and I, it's like we have a 60-40 relationship, and we're both striving to be the 60. So where I lack, he picks up on certain weeks, and where he lacks, I'll pick up on other weeks. And people see that. The boys trust us because they know we are consistent. Because regardless of what we've got going on, we show up in a way that we can hold ourselves and also hold the circle itself. We have, over time, adjusted our agreements as such. But the agreements that we hold in the circle, for it to be as potent and as efficient as possible, are a no coaching zone, the use of I statements to fully take responsibility of our positioning, of our lives, of who we are, of where we are, the simple gesture of a hand signal, the touching of the heart, that is so profound. That has allowed us to really use the momentum of conversation and of communication to continue to allow the boys to go deeper into what they're experiencing. We often realised at the start that it was very easy for us to stumble or trip someone else up during a powerful piece of conversation because someone chipped in. soon as we realised that, we implemented that. The other few things are active listening. We have 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason, and I think we forget that a lot of the time. So we give the boys the true presence, true ability to be felt, be seen, outside of everyone's just agreeing with your problems. Yeah. We sit there in silence. We're a rock to them, for them to release, and we're there to absorb until it's our opportunity to speak. And the last one was a safe space. And we have really come to realize that nothing that would be said to the depth if it wasn't for the feeling of safety within the group. There is a true connection that's almost unexplainable when you realize that you trust the guys around you fully. And with that trust, we've implemented an agreement which is not to share an individual's stories with the name attached. But we do also say a problem shared is a problem halved. So explain the situation without attaching the individual. So this confidentiality that we have has really allowed us to bridge the gap between this conversation, not only in the circle, but outside of the circle in the community. The things that we do and the things that we're doing at this current stage, we do group workouts, whether that's combat, whether that's strength and conditioning with David at Beyond. Shameless plug.
Motherfucker.
He deserves
He's a weapon of a man, a very good human. And we're really moving into now to go deeper. We are working with Theo Van Dort, who is actually running a documentary series on men by men, and it's amazing. We've been involved in it in the last few days, and Ryan is actually leading it, and just to see and feel the energy within Theo, to see the energy Teo, with the energy within Ryan, and just to know that we've truly come into this positioning where we're doing exactly what we said we're going to do.
Yeah, there's no greater feeling, right? Like, see, to look yourself in the mirror at the end of the day going, I've got you. I said I was going to do this, and I've done it. And that's exactly how you tell it. Listen, your integrity, what you talk it, you've got beautiful minds, and you walk it. But you walk it with heart, guys. That's why it's safe. Like, I've known and loved you for a couple of years through initially at Bali MMA, and then the scorpion knee to the shouting the guy's ribs that went all over the world, and got to play your walkout music at Canggu Fight Night, which was amazing. But it's mad, mate. I've only known you since the start of 2025.
It's crazy,
As I was going through some shit, and it was you just saying, like, get your ass in here and coming in, and it's your hearts, guys. That's the safe space. I mean it, and it's a great segue into with, if we go out of business as entrepreneurs, we can't serve anyone. And you guys had coffee, and this just grew to a beautiful monster that you couldn't see coming. And you've just continued to flower those seeds. Some people will just go to be seen and heard and listened to, and just that's as far as it goes. And then there's some really powerful men in that group as well. So with the exciting like fork in the road that you're at as well, like obviously this is the first, this is the now, this is the always with the brotherhood side of things, but I think having the courage to step into your purpose actually, from me, makes that more of a safe space as well. That might actually, through example, go, I've never actually thought about going into business for myself, but I hate my fucking job, and like Ryan worked 9 to 5 once upon a time, like how did he do that? It might do that, it might not. I think how you're navigating that is really good. It's hard, mate, because WhatsApp group is 500 guys in there plus. It's a lot. But with Brotherhood and business, mate, we're helping men successful in business, minimum like 10k months. How do those quote unquote successful men, how do they need support different from your average Joe? Or let me put it another way, what things are they maybe masking behind the success, and how does that different and how you support them?
I'll absolutely answer that. I just want to preface that because we've known what we have is special for a long time, and the integrity of the group has always been about the men. When we ask why do we show up, it's about the guys. It's about the guys. It's about the guys. And there's been a lot of many internal conflicts within me and conversations within us and conversations within the council members, the guys that we kind of seek advice from, around how do we actually serve men at the highest level with what we've got. Because the reality is money carries the message. And there's been so many conversations around what we do to serve, and the documentary is the mechanism and vehicle that's going to provide us with the opportunity to give the world what we've created. So we are going to have different pathways of, if you are purely here to develop yourself as a man and go into the work and hold space and learn and experience what it means to be a man and get all the support you need, we're going to have that pathway. And if you are someone who actually wants to alchemize that and serve from a place of purpose and use the man you become and channel that into impact, service and business, because I have a root core belief that entrepreneurship is the greatest path to personal development and inner work. And I also believe that there is always space and opportunity within the marketplace when you are in purpose and when you are aligned to purpose, and that is what I do and serve people with. So I think a lot of the challenge is around understanding where you fit in the world.
Yeah.
And understanding, like, how can I, with all of me, with my current skill set, my personality traits, my desires, my curiosities, where do I actually fit? Because I've been in this world for 5-6 years, so it's very clear to me, and I see people's pathways, where they fit in the world. Yeah. But a lot of guys don't. And a lot of guys are kind of run a square peg into a round hole of, like, I've been told this business model works, so I've done it and it's working a little bit, but it just feels so heavy. I feel like I'm pushing a boulder uphill every day, and like, I don't understand why it feels so hard for me. And what those guys need is to actually nurture them into becoming the man that they get to choose what it gets to be. It isn't one of the best pieces of advice I ever got, and it was a permission slip. It's like, Ryan, there is no best business model. There is only your best business model. And it was like a permission. Oh, wow. I get to choose. Who am I and what impact do I want to create? For me, I'm changing things at the minute because I've just had my first taught public speaking on stage. And I want to travel the world and speak on stage. And that's where I feel like I'm gifted in that. And it's like that changes things again, of like how I have to do the model, which is exciting for me. And I truly believe that everybody in this world can serve on the condition they embody what they embody their lessons. Okay, so it's not everybody. It's like you have to embody who you are, which we all do. If you are an embodied leader, whatever that is, fitness, business, whatever remit that is, doesn't have to be anything specific. There is a person or a way that you can serve as your highest contribution to humanity as you are right now, this moment in time, that you can get paid within fair exchange with the market. I deeply believe that. And you are going to evolve. You're not married to that. The more you grow and you evolve as a human being and you take more lessons on and learn more and study different things and have more lived experience, your impact can expand and expand and expand with that. And I think that's the journey. I think that's the pathway to living a life of inspiration, of purpose, of fulfillment, of impact, of freedom, is by really deeply core believing in that and then understanding, how do I serve? Because the purpose is service.
Yeah.
Business is service. It's fair exchange of products and services. I'm providing value to the world. So what value is that you can provide? And then how do you build it in a way you're going to enjoy the process? So I think that's the work that I do with these guys that have that entrepreneurial spirit. But I am also convicted now that not everybody needs to have their own business.
Yeah.
I believe that partnerships, collaborations, co-creations are the way that we magnify and amplify our impact through the right people, which is evident in our relationship. We amplify through the right people.
Yeah.
And I had to learn that through a partnership going wrong and the wounded that come from that to come out the other side of like, oh wow, okay. Not just because that bad experience doesn't mean that I can't trust anyone.
Yeah.
And you guys have allowed me to re-trust partners. So I do think that's a very important thing. It doesn't mean that you have to be an entrepreneur and have the handle of stress. You can partner, collaborate, find a mission that's purposeful for you, but take ownership of one of those parts so it feels like your thing. And then that's how we all serve at the highest level. That's my core belief.
Yeah, I totally agree, mate. It's just like taking ownership is everything, and you've got to do that, as they say in the fighting game, by any means necessary, right? Which takes us to the really exciting project that you're working on. Tell us more about By Any Means.
So, for me, what I've realised is that a lot of men bury themselves too early, uneducated to the possibilities of life. You have this normal Western Australian life where you think FIFO is the way, you have a kid at 25, you buy the house at 27, and that's it for the next 40 years. For me, I've really looked around and I thought there is so much more to this life and to this world. We all have a unique gift. We can all give back. We can all inspire or just live in purpose. And as I said before, it's easier to build strong boys than it is to fix wounded men. And this new platform that I'm working on now, By Any Means, is to do exactly that. And it's not just amongst younger men, because I understand that the physical age of a man doesn't determine his mental and emotional age. There are 40-year-olds, there are 50-year-olds that are often stuck in the 16-year-old wounded boy, and we can uncover that. We can crack that. And one of the major things for me is for men to understand and love their own self-image. And by loving their own self-image allows them to truly achieve the things that they want to achieve in life.
Yeah.
Through confidence, through the basics of basic nutrition and training, and the developed confidence over time, doing the things that you say you're going to do, regardless of how it feels, shows up in business. I think the better that you feel about yourself allows you to better serve others. And the concept of simple training and nutrition, I don't think people actually realize the importance of that concept. It's to have something that you know that you're going to commit to, regardless of your relationship, regardless of your finances, regardless of everything else that's going on in your sphere, that you can just create that win internally to switch off the bitch voice and just be like, I need to show up, I'm going to show up. And we all know when we commit to a solid plan or to a workout, the endorphins that you feel when you leave. I think that is unmatched magic. It doesn't show up in any other place. It is genuine delayed gratification. It is a reward system internally. That's God's way of giving you the energy, that vibrance. And when you hold yourself in that way, I think true confidence comes from doing the things that you need to do when no one else is around.
I would agree, man.
It shows up in every other aspect of life. So if we can get men, boys, to truly understand that at a very early stage, or at wherever stage they're in, that we can achieve by any means necessary, that's what I'm here to do.
It's beautiful, man. And we've touched on the presence being such an important thing for us to feel better, but also to turn up as the men that we want to be in our relationships and our future families. So would you say that moving the physical, I mean, you said it's simple, right? But just because it's simple, in the modern world with information, people want to hack everything. You can't chat GPT your workout, you actually need to go. So you think just like moving the body, getting back to basic exercise and pushing yourself within those limitations is one of the fastest ways to learn how to be present?
Definitely.
Yeah.
Because in those moments, you can't cheat it. And you know if you are cheating it. You know if you could have gone hard and you chose not to. The feeling that you have within you after that. Yeah. I think in those current moments, it takes you out of every other situation. You can't be thinking about what's going on in business when a man's trying to kick you in the head.
Yeah. Well, you can, but it'll not work.
Yeah,
out
it's
good
not.
for you.
That's probably why I get knocked out of the time.
So with that, combat training, as well as just basic weight training, strength and conditioning, it really allows you to build a camaraderie with the people around you, and also just this trust within yourself to know that you're going to do what needs to be done, regardless of how you feel, prior to anything else or post the work day, because you made that agreement with yourself.
I think what you said was really beautiful earlier around the analogy and metaphor of the 15 minutes where it really matters. And having that unequivocally, I have done everything I have fucking done right now. So all I can do is do my best. And yes, I'm going to do my best to win. But the thing I'm most proud of is everything prior to that point. And that killer instinct, like that way of looking at life, is like, you don't know when that's going to, you don't know when your fight's going to come in life. You don't have a boot. You don't have a 6-week fight camp. You're constantly faced with things. So having that like preparation of going into any circumstance, life, business, relationships, any challenge, knowing that you have done everything you can to your maximum ability is the gift that you get to give people. Because that is that grounded confidence, that killer instinct, that savageness of like, it's cool. I don't care. I've done everything I can.
I think a major thing for me, and the way that I live my life for that reason, in the way that I do, is simply due to the fact that, like Ryan said, we don't know when our fight's coming. But I want to be best prepared for that fight. And the day that my parents pass away, I want to be best equipped to deal with that. When I have to carry one of my brothers down the aisle for his funeral, I want to know that I've done everything in my power, so when that day does arise, I'm financially sorted to be able to look after his family. I'm physically strong enough to carry his casket. I'm emotionally strong enough to actually be there and hold his mum, or whoever's mum it is, in that moment. And I think by showing up every single day and by doing the things that we know we need to do consistently, it actually builds that confidence, that resilience, that strength. It's all about delayed gratification.
Yeah, I think you've said that word a few times, mate, and I think everybody needs to hear it more and more, is consistency. Like I always say to my clients, like, confidence comes from competence, and competence comes from consistently testing your limits. Like stay in the comfort zone is death. And that is death to men of purpose, because for me the purpose of life is to return to love, but doing that through growth and expansion. Not choosing difficulty from a place of perpetuating wounds, but just testing yourself. Like when we were kids and we were playing video games, when you completed a level, you never switched it off and went, oh, that's enough for today. You went like, right, what's next? Oh, fuck, that guy. And then you prepared for it. You went and you were excited about the challenge. Somewhere along the way, as we've touched on, it was just like, and it's not shaming men here, but we have kind of regressed in certain aspects where it was just like, let me just seek salvation and someone to come and save me. And there's a difference between a brother checking in and calling you forward than someone calling you out. Like you sent me a message 2 nights ago, probably the Instagram reel, or maybe you just felt me and whatever it was, like, brother, just checking in on you, how are you? And I've replied to words to the effect of, you asking the question means the world, because I'm feeling very isolated just now, and it never stops. And I think for the listeners listening, they'll hear what they want to hear. They'll hear what they're ready to hear, but they'll see, they'll hear, and they'll feel 2 men that are in their body, in their hearts, and walk their talk. And there might be a little bit of comparison of like where they're not doing that. I would say good. Let it inspire you, let it step up. But also they might be hearing, wow, this guy holds himself to such a high standard. Who holds you? No, no, it's you and other people. And who holds you? I know it's you and other people. And it comes back full circle to, there's nothing weak about putting your hand up. We're not meant to do this alone. We're meant to do it in tribe. We're meant to do it together as one. We're better together, right? So that's everything by any means stands for the Brotherhood in business. And I went off script here just now, but I just want you to see, because I was lucky enough, every day is the same just now as I get ready to leave Bali. Like yesterday, is it yesterday the documentary? Thursday, Wednesday, yeah, it was yesterday. Right?
It's blurring into one at the minute for me as well.
But I was in tears at the end of that with Teo, and it hit home one that I was leaving Bali, and while Bali's shadow was coming up, up at Tully's place, and I was like, well, the essence of Bali will never die. The essence of what makes us men will never die. The essence of what makes us humans will never die. But in the human experience, you're allowed to be sad. You're allowed to miss certain things. But it was also gratitude, and I just looked at Taylor and he's like, brother, thank you so much. And I was like, no, thank you, man. I was like, this is fucking amazing what you're doing. I was saying to him because he was in front of me, but you, the whole group, I'm sad to leave you guys. And I've touched on it, it's come through maybe bits of my wounding and WhatsApp, and I'm going, like, trying to do things, and I know we're all busy and going in different directions. I was like, I don't want to lose you guys as brothers first. And I know WhatsApp is always there, and Instagram and all that other stuff is always there, and like I'm so genuinely buzzing for you just now, and I'm so genuinely fucking excited at what's about to pop for you, because I know the hard yards you put in and you continue to put in. You remind me of my brother Steph Safandos. Like, he's probably the most committed to the work that I've ever met, and you're the same, just slightly different expressions. You guys deserve everything that's coming to you.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate that, man.
I mean that. Anyway, let me check my notes for a minute before I tear up. We speak about presence. What would you want young men to know? Maybe perhaps we never, or you never. The difference between performance and presence in relationships. Because it'd be fair to say that you guys are so committed to this, because at the end of the service, you want to return home to your family and just receive, see the kids, have quality time with your missus. Or just, for me, I've always got a vision of just being the background character, and I think that's the double-edged sword as men, where it can breed to isolation, where there's healthy solitude and just knowing your place. I think just being able to be a background character and watch what you've helped create. I've always got a vision of watching my wife play with my kids, not knowing that I'm looking at them. And you see it, but that to me is success. So to be fair to say, you have your own version of that vision.
Between Ryan and I?
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah. And that's why...
But similar in certain aspects.
Yeah. So what would you tell younger men that maybe want the same, maybe don't even know that they want the same, but they're so conditioned to have to perform for love? What would you tell the younger guys that where presence trumps performance in relationships?
I think for me, the way that you show up in your relationship is just evidence of how you show up for yourself first. And I think you need to work on filling your cup, educating yourself, informing yourself, so much so to the point that your cup overflows, and when your cup overflows, you can then pour into someone else's cup. The ability to actually hold your partner, to be able to endure her emotional waves while you stay solid and strong through that, I think it definitely comes from the things like integrity and doing the things that you need, that you say you're going to do, regardless of how you feel. By you being able to be patient enough and present enough in that moment, in all the moments prior, leading up to that position where she has her moment of emotional outburst. When you know that you're doing the things that you need to do, when that does come up, you have an ability to put your arm around her, to hold her, to support her. Quite often for me, in my previous relationship, when those emotional outbursts would come, I would often just ask, like, how can I serve you in this moment? What do you need from me? Quite often, they just need a hug. They just need someone to hold them and to listen. Your words are not there to fix them. It's not going to fix them. So if you can just be present in that moment, there's no performance. You don't need to say anything. But by genuinely showing them that you're here for them, not just now, but moving forward, I think that is the difference between performance and presence.
Beautifully articulated, man.
What's coming through to me is finding your woman, finding a relationship with a woman is going to be the most challenging, emotional, triggering relationship that you're going to have in most cases. But it's always an invitation for you to step deeper into yourself and into presence. They're going to test you. They're going to challenge you. They're going to throw things at you emotionally. And as men, our role is to be able to be the tree, be the rock, be the lighthouse, be that safety that they need. And I think that knowingness and opportunity when it happens is a frame that we can take to deepen into presence consistently. You're going to go through phases where you are going to perform because it's the unpacking process. But every time, every conflict, every opportunity is an invitation to go deeper into love and deeper into presence. And that's how beautiful relationships are built. They don't just come straight in because you're meeting a woman, her 6-year-old, and all of her life experience, as a woman is meeting your man, your 6-year-old, and all of your lived and all of your baggage. So nobody's perfect. But if you can create a space of love and connection and compassion and understanding, every single opportunity, you're going to have consistently opportunities to go deeper and deeper and deeper into it. And that for me would be the best advice I can give myself.
It was a great segue into the next question, mate. How would you say that having a conscious partner can either facilitate, or not having a conscious partner can actually kill the man's mission?
I had dated women who I believe took me off mission, and it drained me, it took me away. And because I've been so mission driven and purpose driven for a long time, I closed my heart off and just refused to feel anything, basically, for like 2 years. And it wasn't until I started doing the work and unpacking my heart and looking at how my heart was blocked out of safety, and I didn't want to feel the same pain, so I was blocking myself from love. And when I actually met my fiance, I can honestly say that without her, I would not be the man I am. She has been the rock. She has been the invitation. She has been the inspiration. She has been the wisdom that's flown through me. That's allowed me to step into the potential because of how much drive and motivation and inspiration I get from being the best version of myself for our relationship. And I think as men, and you'll hear it throughout time, with behind every great man there's an even stronger woman. And I feel that's so true. And I deeply believe that as men, we're all striving to find our queen. Biologically, I think we're wired for that. I can't speak for everyone, but the brothers that we connect with. And I deeply believe that she just consistently gives you opportunities and invitations to step into your potential. And I think it's very, very hard to be able to actualize your potential without that feminine invitation and the alchemy that happens between those polarities of, I don't feel enough, she feels like she's too much, she's going to stretch, and it's this constant alchemy between these two energies that just expand and expand and expand, and nothing brings me greater pride. And she is the power that I feel when I stand on stage and I lead the men, knowing that I've got such an incredible woman and such an incredible partner. That gives me the strength and confidence in those spaces, because there's nothing anybody can say to me and reflect back at me that I wouldn't receive that would trump what I have.
Yeah. Beautiful. And I want to just touch it to you, mate, and some of the listeners that be thinking as well, is that there's so much strength in doing the inner work where you don't settle for your own bullshit, which means you're not in the fast track to just settle down for anyone. And it's healthy interdependency and being independent in the season that I'm in just now, not to be hyper independent. Like, I don't need no man, Lucretia. Yeah, you don't, but you deserve one. But you don't feel worthy of one. Where's all the good men at? They're there. Where are you not a vibrational match for it? So then there's maybe men that are looking for that part to complete them, and that's what perpetuates the cycle. What I massively admire about you is taking the time for self. And you've said something that I've said before, I've heard you say many times, I've heard many men say it many times, and then it's over recent years I've kind of went, I don't really agree with that. But how you've just said that there, I've heard it at a different level. And you said it's about turning up and doing the hard thing no matter how you feel. And in recent years I went, yeah, but where's that perpetuating my addiction to pain and suffering? Now there is a part of that. But as a healthy man, when you can not bypass your feelings, but you can feel it but turn up anyway, I think that's what you're saying. Only then can you turn up for the woman when she's hyper in her feelings and emotions. So I think taking time for solitude to go in is very different from feeling lonely and alone and isolated. So what advice would you give to someone, because you're in that season just now and I massively respect it for it, but whilst keeping your heart open to calling it? I mean, your surname's not King for no reason. Like, you, if there's anyone worthy of Queen, it's you. What would you say to these younger guys about don't settle, take that time? It might be heartbreak, it might be hard, maybe that's when you need other men, but this is a great opportunity to go within, so when that time comes, you don't bat it away the next time, you just feel worthy to receive. What advice would you give?
I think really take the time to honour the journey, the position that you're in, knowing that everything that you do for yourself as an individual now will be better for them moving forward. All the strength, all the resilience, all the awareness that you acquire during this period of time, this period of solitude, this period of elite risk-taking, this radical accountability, all that does is allow for a stronger but also softer, malleable rock when that person does come around. I think we have this old school mentality of the very rigid way, but with rigid things they break. And I think we need to be malleable. We need to be able to hold a baby and slit a throat on the same day type situation. And I think genuinely taking the time, being patient in the process of understanding yourself first, really allows for you to actually find the person that is most aligned with you. And the question you asked before was to do with conscious women and unconscious women.
Yeah.
I think women that aren't conscious and women that don't live with faith would love the person for the situation that the person provides rather than loving the person for who they are as an individual.
Yeah.
And as soon as we can truly feel loved, respected, supported for who we are and not just for what we provide, solves many issues.
Louder for the women in the back, mate. I think we do a very good job talking about understanding and living now that women need safety, but we're actually simple creatures as well. Like, respect my efforts, show me, tell me you appreciate what I'm doing. Sorry mate, I don't want to cut you off your flow there, but
I think that's a really beautiful distinction for the women listening around when people say women. There is a distinction between the conscious heart-led women and the ones that are unconscious, blocked off, and that there's compassion for those women as well, right? But there's some generalizations isn't about the heart-led conscious women. It is around the other women who are unfortunately disconnected from source in their soul and do seek that of what they believe they need.
I agree completely. I think that the feminist movement has done more damage than it's done good. And the reason I say that is because women are now equal, on a humanitarian level, equal. And that's how it should be. But we've moved so far past equality, and it's now this search for independence. And when you say I'm an independent woman, what you're essentially saying is that you're independent of men.
yeah,
You are energetically putting into the world that you do not need a man, that a man's not going to come your way because you've told the world that you're independent of them. When you change the wording, simple language, to I'm self-sufficient, but I'm open to being with a man that I respect, a man that I lead, a man that I trust, that will then enter your sphere. That will enter your realm. And until we truly understand that as both men and women, that we can't do it alone, and that we need to do the work on ourselves, so that when we do enter this sphere of love and relationship together as a partnership and as a union, we realize that we are bringing everything that we've grown up with.
Yeah.
As Ryan said, our inner child, our 6-year-olds, all the baggage from 6 to 30 is still there. But are you as a man and are you as a woman going to be able to accept the person that is coming, is showing up in your realm? And then how do you actually manage the conflict that comes with it? I think the consciousness and faith-led men and women truly allow for that, because there's a compassion, there's a grace.
Yeah.
And understanding the overall mission, and true faith in the mission is actually the ability to rest.
Hear that? That, for me, as your brother, has been the most celebrated thing from my side watching you. Because my background is primarily football. And you see it for a lot of professional athletes, that the time at the top is short. And you go, like, now what? Now, thankfully, we have things like this and people can go into punditry and podcasts and X, Y, Z. That wasn't there like 15, 20 years ago. So it's the whole identity. It's like the mother that when the kids grow up and leave, they go, all right, now what? I've got no use. It's not just men that feel this as well. But as a fighter, like, if you're not able to do the inner work, you're stuck in fight or flight the whole time. I mean, there's a time to parry, there's a time to bob and weave, there's a time to just create distance, and there's a time to go in for the kill. But that can become like a insatiable thirst for a lot of guys, and it certainly was for me. I don't know what it was like at the pro level as well. So to balance that, for me watching you recently, to really befriend your nervous system so that you can, that's the solid foundation to really get to know what's under the hood, to then rise from a place of rest, raise that frequency so that you're a vibrational match for someone who'll be very fucking lucky to have you, brother. That's everything. So much gold in what you've shared there. I'm just conscious of the time. We could talk about this to the cows go home. I love this stuff. But also one thing I do want to touch on there as well is like being independent of men. What we learn from our mothers is the archetype of the divine feminine, which is supposed to be unconditional love. When a mother is in that, she's unconsciously or consciously, depending on where she's at, making fathers nothing more than sperm donors. And if she has a young son, that's what he grows up witnessing, and he'll just mirror the pattern towards women in there as well. There's nothing weak about men needing women and women needing men. And there certainly should be nothing weak about daughters and sons needing fathers. Now, of course, this goes the other way to mothers, but I think that's well documented. I want to keep this to men's work today. What would you say to that, Matt? Because I actually wanted to bring that up earlier, like this hyper-feminist movement where we're still shaming men for the use of porn, but now we're creating multi-million-dollar businesses through OnlyFans, is the pot calling the kettle back. I'm seeing social media clips of going, oh, my kids will cry in my Ferrari. And I'm like, no, your kids will cry at school when they're getting like ridiculously bullied because their mum's a new age hoe. No disrespect, but that's the truth. And that's as men, we need to have conversations that are difficult, but it's not from condemnation, it is from compassion, because the same wound that caused, I'll speak for myself here, the I statements, that caused me to beat my meat in private just for a quick release to feel better about myself, is the same what these ladies are doing, at least from my lens, and I might be limited to how I'm seeing it. They're just seeking approval, but they're killing what's underneath all of that. Is like, if you actually had them with 5 minutes to live to tell the truth of what they wanted for their life, it would be a man to love all parts of themselves and for their kids to have a better upbringing than what they had. I truly believe that with every fibre of my being. So for as long as women perpetuate this, I don't need a man, what are you seeing and how that's perpetuating the problem for young men coming through? And then also, how does that dovetail with why everything you're doing is so important now than ever?
To be honest, I think that men are the problem. And that's going to be very conflicting to say. But I truly believe that these women only put themselves in this position because there's a platform for them to do so.
Here.
And the reason why men are doing that is because they're so disconnected from themselves, from what they truly want from this world. So they use lust and hypersexuality to actually reconnect, or I wouldn't say reconnect, I would say almost disconnect and escape their current positioning because they don't understand who they are and what they actually want. The female side of this, women have quite often become the men that they want to marry.
Yeah.
The metrics of success and the metrics of attraction amongst male and female are completely opposite in a lot of cases. Women are now wanting to make the money, to have the house, to have the car. This was all a men's idea of success, a man's idea of success. And now women are showing up for years, becoming the boss woman, becoming financially independent so that they don't have to rely on a man. But what they do is they actually price themselves out of the dating market because they don't have the timeline that we have.
Yeah.
So they're looking to settle early 30s as we're just getting started early 30s. Their value in a lot of cases and by a lot of men is often determined by fertility, by youth. Can you bring to me the children that I would like in the world? As a man that has worked on himself, he's not going to settle for a woman that's going to provide him one, if he required or wanted 5. So women have chased this metric of success and have developed themselves in such a way that they've definitely become the men that they want. And now the men that they want look past them because what they actually want in a woman isn't that.
Yeah.
If I wanted to come and do business with my brother, I'll show up, I'll shake his hand, we'll drive in our Porsche together. But I don't want a brother in business in that aspect when I want to come home to peace. I don't want to come home to combativeness. I want to come home to nurture. I want to be able to provide her safety as she provides me safety in different realms.
Yeah.
I want to know that she is the greatest model for my children and I can support her through my love, through my strength, through my finances, as she can then truly connect with our children outside of the conditioning of schooling, Western schooling, this new Western propaganda, this wokeness. I think that this has moved so quickly that women haven't yet picked that up.
Yeah.
They have seen what we want as men and they have tried to imitate that and they've done themselves more damage than they've done good.
Yeah. So complex and there's so many layers we can go into.
Could be hours, tons,
Yeah.
so much to come from this, couldn't it?
But I think the thing that we, hopefully the listeners are taking away from this is the inner work and the collective work that we have is more grand than we're aware. That's why strength in numbers and coming from heart, not from condemnation, but just like shedding light on our dark parts, not to perpetuate you and throw you into the shadow, but to go like, come, this is a problem, we need to solve that. So I think we're all in agreement, this is a worldwide issue. With that being the case, with the documentary coming out and what you're working on, what is something for the world that you want to provide that's going to completely change the narrative of men's health?
The whole purpose for me of the document is helping men navigate modern life and giving so many flavors and dimensions of the same same things that we need to experience. What it's like to wear a mask as a man, sex and shame, money, father, mother wound. There's so many dimensions that we have to experience and we're exposed to of what it means to be a man. The whole intention for me is to create so many examples and lived experience for men and women to understand what it's like to be a man, and also for young mothers who are bringing up boys. There's a really important aspect to know that life happens in so many crazy, beautiful ways that there is no right or wrong way to live. But there is definitely ways that we can navigate life to have healthy, fulfilling, harmonious relationships. That relationship with ourselves, relationship with our parents, relationships with our loved ones, relationships with the world around us. And to actually understand that, and I really understand what my message personally is around loneliness. Is that loneliness is a choice. You don't have to be lonely. And that the men that are lonely and they are isolated and they're doubting themselves and they're feeling shame and all of these things that we all feel, is that you're not alone in that. You're not alone. And I know how difficult and lonely it can be because I've been there. I've been falling down in tears, Googling, how do I pray on YouTube while I'm crying my eyes out because I didn't have anybody else to speak to. And I was like, I felt so isolated that I had to ask God because there was nobody else around me. And I'm grateful that I had that experience because it connected me to God, and I grew up an atheist. But is to really understand that no matter what happens in your experience, you are not the only one that's experienced that. We all experience things like that. And the more we bring it into conversation, the more we normalize what it is to be a man in today's society. And the more we realize that we can speak, and there's strength in speaking, there's strength in vulnerability, and that connection and community and collaboration are the key to what you want. We don't do it alone. We're never meant to do it alone. So this idea of being a lone wolf and their strength and their ability and pride in being self-made and being the guy that can handle it, is a fool's errand. It's the reason why so many people and so many men commit suicide, because how lonely and isolated they feel, because they can't transcend pride and shame and actually ask for help, and they bury themselves because they can't, because their self-image is so fixed of what it means in the paradigm of being a man in today's world to say, I'm not good, I need help. And they can't do that because it would shatter their self-worth and self-paradigm, that they just don't want to be here anymore. And I've been taken into places like, I've never had a suicide ideation personally, but I've been taken there in meditation because of the work we do, and a teacher of mine took me into that, and I understand what it feels like to truly understand that I don't matter. And even that language, I don't matter, right? I don't matter, is I don't belong here. So my impact is, I'm so disconnected that the world is better off without me being here. And I think that is the saddest, I think it's such a sad thing that's so common for men to feel. And that's ultimately what we're doing. But also not from a place of just that. It's around purpose. It's around helping these men pull them up from the bottom and give them a completely different experience of what life gets to be when you get to wake up every day and you have meaning, you have energy, you have inspiration, you have meaning, you have purpose, you're connected to yourself, you're connected to your friends, your family, your business partner, and you feel connected to the world, and you connect to your responsibility in that whole thing. So it isn't just about getting people from here to here, it's about the whole spectrum of what life gets to be as a purpose-driven man in the world who's connected with brothers, that can show up for his family and provide a safe space for the feminine and build healthy and harmonious families.
How do people get in touch with you guys?
For me, it's personally, it's _ Ryan Herrington on Instagram. We've got the official Bali Brotherhood, and we've got Brotherhood _ for the documentary as well.
For me, it's Matt Chaos, MATTTKAOS, and the By Any Means Project on Instagram.
Put it obviously in the show notes below. Thank you.
Thank you, man.
Thank you, brother. I love you. There's so much we could say. I think there's so many gold in that we've just covered. Nothing else to add other than thank you. I love you. And wow, what an amazing episode. I hope you enjoyed that. Please follow the legends on the social media platforms and things that we've got below. I know that you're not meant to do it alone. If you can't get to a brotherhood, take inspiration, create one. Until then, stay connected to your soul, keep moving through those soul wounds. Your soulmate is out there and your soul has purpose. God bless you. Speak to you soon. Thank you. Wow, thank you to another amazing guest. I hope you got as much from that as I did. Please remember to like, comment and subscribe. It really helps. And if someone popped into your head while you were watching, please send it to them. Sometimes healing starts with a link from someone who loves us. And if you want to go deeper into healing your own root cause trauma that's blocking you from the love you deserve, please book a call with me at the link below. Beautiful souls like yours are worthy of that love. See you on the next pod.